And it's because philosophers and scientists and medical professionals believed a woman's uterus really controlled a lot of aspects of their mental and physical well-being. And one of the standard of care ways that hysteria could be treated if you were a woman in the 1800s, early 1900s, was clitoral stimulation, vibratory stimulation in your clitoris. Yes, ladies and gents, this was an accepted standard of practice. So medicine has had a lot of questionable moments in history. Things that we used to believe that really sound cuckoo, or treatments we used to do that were kind of bizarre. And one of those includes how vibrators even got their start in our lives. And that's because back in the day, like the 1800s, scientists came up with this disease called hysteria. And hysteria has its root word hyst, which means uterus in Greek. And in the 1800s, scientists believed that women suffered from hysteria. And upwards of like 70% of women were diagnosed with hysteria. And one of the standard of care ways that hysteria could be treated if you were a woman in the 1800s, early 1900s, was clitoral stimulation, vibratory stimulation in your clitoris. Yes, ladies and gents, this was an accepted standard of practice. So yes, vibrators that we know and love today first started off as medical treatment for hysteria. And what the hell was hysteria? So hysteria was a legit medical diagnosis that basically accompanied almost any symptom that somebody thought was unpleasant that a woman was exhibiting. It could describe anxiety, stress, mood changes, headaches, cramping, fatigue, hypersexuality, compulsive behavior. Any of these symptoms could and often were lumped as hysteria if you were a woman in the 1800s and early 1900s. And it's because philosophers and scientists and medical professionals believed a woman's uterus really controlled a lot of aspects of their mental and physical well-being. For instance, the ancient Greek philosopher Plato believed in something called the wandering womb, and that a womb that never carried a child, childless womb, a barren womb, wandered throughout a woman's body, creating and causing havoc, responsible for a range of emotional and physical symptoms that women may experience. So we know in the late 1800s, widely adopted that clitoral stimulation could release the symptoms of hysteria. You have to remember, at this time, the sex is thought to be only vaginal penetration. We in society and medicine didn't believe the clitoris was important for sexual pleasure. We thought women orgasmed through vaginal penetration, and the clitoris was not respected for the pleasure center that we know and understand very well. So these clitoral stimulations by the doctor weren't thought to be sexual in any way. This was just thought to be medicine, okay? And in fact, vaginal examination using speculums or any other form of vaginal penetration was thought to be a no-no, because that was thought to be too overtly sexual. Okay, and so, yeah, let me just sit here and let me just massage the clitoris to get rid of your anxiety and your headache and your back pain and your abdominal cramping. Makes sense, right? And the release through clitoral stimulation medically wasn't associated with an orgasm and wasn't thought to be an orgasm. It was thought to be a release of the hysteria, right? And so at first, doctors were manually doing this, manually, using tools or manually doing vibration. And, that kind of gets exhausting. And so enter in the steam-powered vibrator invented by American physician George Taylor in 1869. This required coal. It was kind of a bulky apparatus that had this steam-powered sphere that patients would basically use and lie on or sit on for vibratory clitoral stimulation. We quickly started downsizing the equipment, and the first portable device made its way in the 1880s. And this was a portable vibrator. And so now vibrators moved from outside of the doctor's office and into people's homes. And we see that through the very late 1880s and early 1900s, vibrators are actually marketed in like home devices that women could use at home to treat a variety of ailments and a important household appliance that you want to have. This was not marketed for sexual pleasure. That was a big fat no-no. This was marketed as your, home treatment. I mean, imagine like opening up a Sears catalog and seeing a vibrator being marketed as a medical device. That is exactly what was happening. Now, that declined into the middle of the 1900s and beyond. So we started to realize that this hysteria diagnosis was a load of BS, okay? It was debunked, and especially 1950s and beyond, the thought of clitoral vibratory stimulation and this hysteria treatment just really had lost its respect. So opinions on vibrators started to change, especially when early pornographic films called stag films, which came around in like the 1920s. Some of these films utilized vibrators in the film. And so now vibrators entered their, taboo, that's indecent or obscene phase. And actually the sale of vibrators in some places, including a few states in our modern day United States, it became obscene by law. It became illegal, to market vibrators because they were seen as now lewd, taboo, because of their association with sexual pleasure masturbation. Y'all, it wasn't until 1980 that the American Psychiatric Association officially removed hysteria from the books as a diagnosis. It finally was officially removed from the DSM diagnosis. And so here we are today in the millennium. While vibrators are still considered somewhat taboo by some, they are widely used in private homes and not for the treatment of hysteria. So there you have it, how vibrators got their start in treating hysteria. I love history, so I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. Comment below and make sure you subscribe so you join me every hump day right here for all things down there.